Yeah, so this matchup against Rob, like I was saying before, is we actually played the final match of day one, and I had taken that game, which kind of secured me in the top 32. So I was feeling pretty comfortable. I knew what he was on, like the air, fire, death speaker, Jin combo. And I knew basically if I could find my roots in like the top half of my atlas, I'd be fine. Just stop him from drawing all of his cards and make sure I get like a root spider or a gnome hollow, and I'll be okay.
Yes. So you can find roots by turn 5, like 70% of the time.
By turn five, it's something like 50, somewhere between 50 and 60%. I think they had talked about like roots and crossroads getting banned in Australia. That's actually because I gave someone my list, and then they showed Jesse how fast it is, and I think they quoted like 86% by turn eight, but it's over 50% by turn five.
That's crazy. So you're hoping to pop roots by turn 5 or turn 6 at the latest, so he can't do his Jin combo stuff.
Yeah, it depends on the deck you're playing against. Specifically against Death Speaker, you want to do it before they get six mana because if you can lock the Jin and the Grandmaster Wizard in their hand, they're screwed. Like if you can pop it before they hit six mana, then they never get to draw that three. They don't get the cores in their hand to rebuild. They don't get the removal that they need. It's pretty bad for them. So Death Speaker, especially Death Speaker not running Bedrocks, is kind of exactly what I want to prey on with this deck.
Gotcha. When you were mulliganing, were you looking for anything specific or just better things to do more
Um,
roots things?
so I was looking specifically for like a root spider because it would keep me protected against his Jin if like God forbid sometimes root Yggdrasil like the 20th site in your atlas
Mm-hmm.
and you need to survive. Common sense is amazing because it helps me find either Dispel or my Amazon warriors. Dispel is good for after roots. A lot of death speakers will hold cores in their hands and you'll roots them when they know what you're doing and they're like cool core, you know, Keystone, and if you just walk up and dispel it, that's basically game over. um, yeah, and then Amazon Warriors obviously is what you want to drop after the roots on your bedrock so you can provide pressure. And right here, I'm basically exactly where I want to be. I've got bedrock one step up. He's not providing any pressure on me, any damage on me. So I just went and got the Amazon Warriors, especially because he was getting cores early. I figured, well,
He's going to try
if
to
he's gonna
win
play his
before
cores
you
out,
explode.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So your follow up to roots is like different than most. You have Amazon Warriors and you just roots Amazon Warriors and beat in with Amazon Warriors. Rob did a pretty good job of defending to the best of his ability, but the follow up
Yeah,
of roots is really good.
so a lot of roots decks kind of like play a lot differently, right? They have roots as like a panic button or a backup that like they may get some value. Like I know a lot of them will drop like an Immortal Throne or like an Orb of Aerith Ball after roots, and then they just use the fact that they have more mana to rebuild better and win. But a lot of them have like high, like their finishers are Crater Eyes and Major Explosion. They're like high mana cost finishers, whereas I like to be more of like a tempo deck, right? Like if I roots and I throw an Amazon on a bedrock and you have to remove it, based on like threshold and mana, it's going to take you three turns to get to a bury or, you know, the threshold you need to remove an Amazon Warriors, which is about 15 damage I'm representing. I find it's a lot more reliable than getting to eight mana, drawing the right spells, and craterizing your opponent.
Yes. So
And
like,
also, like, yeah, popping roots early, it allows me to pop roots early without setting myself farther away from my finishers.
and that's what feels like with a lot of earlier roots decks was, well, you blew up roots, all right, I guess we're gonna replay the game now.
Yeah, it's also a lot more bearable for me because I'm not setting us back to nothing, and I'm never gonna end the game. I'm like, no, yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
I'll finish it out in like five turns, hopefully.
So, are you trying to do any early chip damage? Like, if you said you were representing 15 damage by the time they can remove it, are you trying to get them below 15, or are you just like, I'll figure it out later?
It depends on the deck I'm against and the draw I get, right? Typically, I throw back all of my red minions unless I really think I'm going to need them early because they're great finishers like Kobold's Violent and Patrician Cavalry. Against somebody who is playing aggro, I might actually need them, like a sorcerer. I might keep a kobold because it can help remove some of their threats and then provide damage. Against a Death Speaker, they make so many chump blockers that chip damage doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
You try to get in there and you're just killing their chump blockers, and then they're getting value from replaying them. Here you can see Rob. I think did he just play Core Core
yeah,
after? Yeah, so he went Core Core after this. So that's when you want to have Dispel. I think both games he did this, and I ended up not needing to walk up and Dispel. Like I might have done it, but it was like, well, I can actually keep him off mana well enough and provide enough damage to um, prevent him from rebuilding.
and the sinkhole afterwards, it's just like more salt in the wound. It's like, no, you're not allowed to have mana.
Yeah, yeah. I always, if I can keep two sinkholes, I always do because of this. And especially against like Death Speaker, they're usually running multiple colors. He's actually only running two, but if he was running 3 or 4 color Death Speaker, you could just keep them off half the spells in their hand by like negating their threshold.
Yeah, so he's at 3 mana. He wants to be at 4 to try to play chump blockers or just get more stuff on the board, right?
And so now he's gotten a third core, so I can walk up and dispel him, or I can wait until he plays it. And he knows I have dispel in hand because I common sense for it last turn. And just the fact that he knows that I have common dispel in hand, he's probably not going to play that Keystone, is what I'm thinking. So I can
So
continue to build threats.
it's just a mind game.
Yep. Yeah, I went and got it and showed him and I had it, and I was like, that's fine. You're fine to know that I have this in hand. Because it means he's never going to walk forward and he's not going to want to play that Keystone.
Mm-hmm.
But I really would rather develop my mana right now because I think I have like a 3 mana creature in hand that can provide more threats in case he can actually remove this Amazon Warriors.
So that's another question. After you blow roots, are you trying to get to 3 mana, 4 mana, and then you're like happy to keep going, or?
I want to be at least 4 because I've got the Petrosian Cavalry and the Sandworms.
Mm.
And I don't care about getting to 5 until he asked me to read Dispel at this point because he was trying to debate how bad it would be and where he could go.
No, it's real bad.
But it's yeah. But I want to get to 4 mana because most of my minions are 4 or less. I only go for 5 if my Amazon Warriors um is in hand.
After roots, you play Amazon Warriors and you have another Amazon Warriors.
Sometimes that's when I'll go for 5. Or like if I happen to top deck it, I never say no to Amazon Warriors when it's in my when it's in the top. Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, here's where I have to decide. I think I had a Gnome Hollows in hand and I was waiting for this.
Oh, to watch out for Jin.
Yeah, I mean he's not really close to the mana, but that's one thing you have to keep counting is like, oh, does he get to 6? Because if he gets to 6 and he's got a bunch of cards in hand, yeah, this is he once he played the Summoning Sphere, I walked up to get rid of all of his cores there, and that way he's so far away from the Jin combo, I'm feeling safe again.
Yeah, so he had 2 cores and he had 2 sites, and if you played a different tower, then he's at 6, right?
Exactly. That's when I decided to pull the trigger because I didn't have Gnome Hollows in hand this game. That was the second game.
Yeah, and then even if he doesn't have Jin and he has a Grandmaster Wizard, that's still 3 cards and still is not great.
Yeah, exactly. And then maybe he finds some sort of removal for my, Amazon Warriors or something like that.
So against Death Speaker Jin combo, it's just keep them off 6 mana.
Yeah, and I think here he's maybe down to 8, damn 8 life now. I don't know if they had
Yeah, the
updated
life
there, but I
trackers
think I hit him for
messed up.
5, hit him for 2. Yeah. So I'm just trying to like basically rush him down because again, his deck. I talked to Rob about it. He's like, yeah, my entire deck is just draw cards, and I was like, oh yeah, my deck doesn't draw a single extra card. There's not one card draw spell in my whole deck.
So you have to win on 10, 12 cards.
Yeah, I often be like, oh yeah, my deck is just win with the 10 cards you actually draw. That's why scrying is so powerful.
Yeah, that's what I felt with my Avatar of Earth deck. Is like I I can keep drawing spells after turn 5, but it's almost sometimes it doesn't feel like it's enough.
Yeah. No, that's why this deck I had changed it around a lot of times. And like it took a lot of tuning to get to where it is. I lost a lot of games while I was figuring out what to do with it. But it's finally now at a spot where like I feel like even though I only get 10 cards per game, I can actually win with that.
Those 10 cards are really good.
Yeah, those 10 cards are all you really need. And that's the beauty of the roots here is like I set him back to turn 0, and I mean I only started with 1, but I started with a 5/5, so I was able to like chip in, get so much damage in on him, and then um, now I've brought him to door. I'm at 19, and I'm threatening him with my face as well as my
Yeah,
minions.
this was super brutal to watch. Is like you're at 19, you have 4 mana, you have 2 minions, it, and a
3. I
root
just played
spider
a root spider.
and a root
Yeah.
spider. Like I don't know how you come back from that. It's just it seemed like you had control of the game from the start.
Yeah, I was talking to I feel bad for it was so it's just like as far as like statistics go, the first day I think I drew roots or like, the sinkhole that I needed. The last combo piece was site 14 or later in like I want to say 6 out of my 7 games. Um or sorry, I got to buy. So 5 out of 6 of my games. And then on day 2, it was site 12 or less every game. So,
So that's the power of the deck, where a lot of decks still have some randomness about them, but you're so consistent.
yeah, yeah, I saw 10 sites turn 1 in 3 games on day 1.
Look how many cards he has in hand, and still couldn't do anything about it. That's this is such a
Yeah.
mean deck.
It is, yeah, it's a little bit mean. But like I said, it's just a consistency. So like day 1, I would draw 3 sites that are irrelevant, pitch them back, draw 3 more. If one of them's a crossroad, I play that on turn 1, and that means I've seen 10 sites
On turn one.
on turn 1. Yeah.
So this is why they banned Roots and Crossroads
And
together.
crossroads? Yeah, exactly. I mean, sometimes it's bad, right? Like you can get a bad crossroads where it's like sinkhole, bedrock, 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 and you're like, great, bottom all of my bedrocks, but yeah, it's unlikely to happen like that.
But that's like you being unlucky. That's just not
Yeah.
standard luck, right?
No, that is statistically yeah, it's almost never gonna happen. But it has happened. I've had it happen.
So would you support a rule of you can't play the two together, Roots and Crossroads?
No. I think that so it's Roots is it becomes a panic button if you can't dig for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it just like negates the ability of this deck to really function. But I think that there should be more. I think in general in sorcery, there's not a lot of ways to interact with lands that aren't in Earth, and lands are really powerful, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Zalem's Seer version of this deck. I think the most powerful part about it isn't the fact that it has roots, and it's not the fact that it plays, Craterize. It's the fact that if you play Gnome Hollows, Gnome Hollows, Gnome Hollows, Dome of Osiris
I can't
as your
attack you.
first 4 turns, you just can't interact with it. If you're a minion deck, what do? Nothing, right? So
Yeah.
lands are powerful in this game. I think that there should be like some sort of spell that says like, it's like maybe it's like an artifact that says like if this artifact is, um, being born by like an avatar, target site, is disabled. So maybe it provides mana, but it doesn't do anything else. That way, it's like interactable. I can go and dig for my dispel, or I can try to bury it, or something like that. Like it allows for counterplay, but it also allows for like a cheap, colorless option for
Most
turn
decks.
off target land. That's absolutely like backbreaking.
So like, I guess your counter to this, how? Well, I mean, smokestacks doesn't matter. You just play on their back row, and you can't prevent them. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, so aggro works out okay for this. Discard works pretty good against me. Avatar of Air was decimating me, as you could probably see in the season 4 finals. But I actually added smokestacks for that matchup, and it has become uh, a lot more of a even match. Um, I played Kevin with this version. This is like my 2.0 version. A couple times after the season 4 like online championships, and it was a lot better. I actually got some wins in.
It's not just a blowout.
Yeah, because the reason, if you look at the season 4, I don't even go for roots, and it's
Mm-hmm.
because Kevin's an amazing player. He knows this deck, and he'll just hold on to like a free city or a bottomless pit, which is even worse, and then I can't actually attack him. Um, and so my tempo play doesn't do anything. So with
Gotcha.
smokestacks, if you hold it for after that, then you can actually hit him, and life is okay. But you can
Yeah,
see
when
here,
I
I've already got 2 out of my 3 combo pieces,
yeah, no,
and
this
then I
is
got the crossroads.
crazy.
So
It's turn 3.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, when I first started playing him with my Avatar of Earth deck, he would put Bottomless Pit up front. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I'll just attack that. And you to beat Avatar of Air, you have to like not care about their sights, and I see how Smokestack's gonna do that
Hmm.
for you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's pretty powerful. So here I'm looking at my like a second bedrock, but I just took the sinkhole.
Just as a follow up to Roots.
Yep. Yeah, just to keep him off of mana because he needs a lot of mana to like do anything important. He can play jump blockers, but it won't like prevent me from doing anything. And I think Zalen was talking about in this game here that like I needed to do something to kill this Violent, but he was just representing 2 damage a turn. So
Uh,
I just
I think you go
didn't
down to
care.
12 off the Violent, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I had firebolts in hand, but I'd rather be digging for combo like sites. And so I wasn't playing like I wasn't looking for anything with red threshold. I was just looking for roots.
yeah, and if you get down to low 10 with just the Violent, but then you blow Roots, the violent damage doesn't really matter, and then you have another way to clear the board for your bigger minions, right?
Yeah, it's all about stopping him from getting a whole bunch of card draw or a Nimbus Djinn combo.
I
Because
feel
if he
like
can Nimbus Djinn, then I'm in trouble.
yeah,
Summoning Sphere Violent, I'm dead. But
yeah. I think the sorcery game has kind of turned into, can you stop me from doing my thing? Like against Avatar of Earth, can you put a bunch of chump blockers from me attacking you? With Death Speaker, you prevent them from playing the Jin combo. Um,
hmm
so I guess hand attack against you is probably the best way to prevent you from doing anything. I don't know how you
it's
interact with
pretty
lands.
strong. I haven't really. So when I say that discard's good against me, that's like more in theory. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
that there are any like discard decks out there. I'm testing it now. But like I'll oftentimes pop roots with like 2 cards in hand total. Um, yeah, you can see here I didn't bother to trade. I'm just pushing damage so I can end the game faster after roots because I think by now I have it in hand.
It's
But
turn
yeah,
4 or 5. You already have roots. Yeah, that's good.
I'm pretty sure I do. Yeah, because he got his Grandmaster Wizard off and I was like, okay, it's time to go.
Yeah, you gotta stop whatever he's gonna do.
Yeah. Yep, there it is. There it is. In hand right there. So I just drew it for turn. I don't remember if I knew if it was there or not, but
It was you had a crossroads and like dug and scryed a couple times, so you like it's coming. It's pretty close.
yeah, it was pretty close.
So
But yeah, so
if
now
you don't hit roots there, do you feel a little more scared?
yeah, now I have to do something like get a root spider underneath me or a gnome hollows, which
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the game I had gnome hollows in hand, for that reason.
Gotcha.
But then like if it's before roots, I have to play it to my side and then walk over. So you just kind of hope that he doesn't hit 7 mana and do that to me. But
Oh,
yeah, here's where I'm.
here you're
He
doing
played
your
another core
sinkhole.
and I just deleted his mana. Yep,
Yeah,
it's just a repeat of game one.
yeah. No, that's what we were talking. Me and Brandon while we were watching. It's like it's just the same game again. It's so
Yeah,
consistent.
it's a very consistent deck, but like I said, I had pretty good draws against Rob, which was very fortunate for me because
Mm-hmm.
he's like I said, he's a very excellent player. I think Zalen was talking about when he infiltrated my Amazon Warriors that he like misplayed, but I had played a Quagmire. That's why
Yeah.
he didn't move it. So
No,
I
I
don't
was
think he made a single misplay all game.
no, I don't think he did either. I was um, listening to that. It was like, and Brandon put it in the chat. It's like it was Quagmire. I think it's just one of those things you miss.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard, especially like you're commentating live, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. No, Rob is he.
yeah.
I don't know if I would have done anything. I don't know if he could have done anything different. Um,
Yeah. That
other
was
than
especially brutal. He couldn't block with the beetle, because it wouldn't have killed my Amazon warrior, so he didn't. And then I got the firebolt it to deal him 5 extra damage or something.
do it anyways.
Yeah. No, no, it's just a bad matchup for him. My deck doesn't do great against Geomancer roots. It's pretty hard to win that matchup. I think it's just this was his bad matchup.
Because if they can rebuild after your roots.
Yeah, and they hit like they hit bedrocks pretty consistently. So like,
Mm.
like doing roots doesn't do anything, and like waiting too long is a problem because they just craterize you. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. The
so
deck doesn't do great against it.
the only time I've beat you on this list was when I had a really good draw and a really aggressive draw, and you still blew roots on turn 5. And
Yeah,
I was like, okay, I guess I gotta rebuild in 3 turns and somehow win. But
yeah. It's consistent. That somebody asked me. I wore that shirt, which now that I actually won, it was kind of a dick move. But like I didn't think I would. But it says I came to pop roots and chew bubblegum. Uh, and I can't remember if it was Chase or Simon. Was like, "Oh, did you pop roots?" And I was like, "Every game."
every game.
Yeah, I think it was like 12 out of 12 games. I pop roots.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Should a unique be that consistent though?
I mean the deck is built entirely around it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's a good question,
No,
and I don't know. I will tell. I'll be happy to admit I think that this deck is problematic because not because it's not beatable. Like I said, I
yeah.
can't win against Geomancer Roots, and I got absolutely crushed by. He goes by Bloom on Discord. His name is Mike. He played a mono Earth sorcerer, just decimated me. It was like 18-0 or something. It's beatable, but a lot of decks just can't do anything against this,
And I feel like
especially Dusty and
yeah,
Enchantress.
no, a lot of sorcery games are very rock paper scissory, where you have really good
Yeah,
matchups against others, but sometimes it's like it's not as what was I going for? But like you have
like there's
a
like non
circle.
games.
Yeah, you get a lot of non games, but you have a lot of circle of the meta where some decks are really good against others, but it's hard to say.
Yeah. No, I get that. And that's why I was like I am so happy to have won the cup. But I was super lucky that the top four were Death Speaker, Battle Mage, which are like great matchups for me, right?
Mm.
Like the players were all phenomenal. They all played like really, really well, and they're also great guys. But like the fact that they were running like my good matchup decks was just really lucky for me because if any of them were running something that I have a harder time going into, then
Who knows what could have happened?
probably wouldn't probably yeah
But
probably wouldn't have won
also
it.
this is top 4 after draft, so draft is a giant wrench in the whole
Yeah,
gears of everything. Um,
yeah.
so your
No, a
final
lot of
record
people weren't happy about that.
day one was five and
Uh,
three, 5-2,
5-2,
5-2.
5-2. Yeah,
So
with the
you
bye because the qualifiers all got a bye.
so 4-2. So you did lose 2 out of 6 games.
Yeah, yeah. I lost to Geomancer Roots and Mono Earth Sorcerer.
Yeah,
Basically, if you get more bedrocks than me, my Roots doesn't do a whole lot.
people should play more bedrocks then.
Yeah, and again, that's like I don't know. Does that mean that everyone has to run Earth just in case they run into like a Roots deck? I don't know. That doesn't seem awesome, but
Yeah,
yeah, no, bedrocks are strong.
yeah. No, I forget who went. Who do you know who went undefeated day one?
It was Tim. He was playing Earth, Air, Sorcerer, mid range, I believe, which was kind of actually one of the decks I learned to fear because in testing, I actually won a lot of games against PK, but one time he dropped turn one. It was Earth Sight, Onyx Core, Ass. Turn two, it was Tower, Pudge Butcher, and it was that was his turn two, and it went to me for my turn two. I had one sight, and I was like, "The hell do I do against that?"
Yeah, it's hard.
So
Any
turn
deck, it's
three,
hard to
he
beat a
just
turn
punched
two
me.
Pudge Butcher.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So I got absolutely wrecked. So I was like, "Oh, okay. I have to always keep a bury. Got it."
that's what I
Against
learned on
sorcerer anyway.
day one too. Is I think I lost my first game because I bought him a berry. It's like I have minions. I'll put a minion in front of whatever he plays, and just got ran over. You have to
Yeah, no. I
you have
I
to deal with
learned
those
I
early
learned in
threats.
testing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, sometimes you get the god draw.
Yep. So
So especially in a tournament setting, just keep a bury against sorcerer.
yeah. So here's Rob. Rob is just playing chump blockers, just trying to survive. At this point, it's just a
Yeah.
matter of time, almost, right?
Yeah, and that was the spot where I was like able to get Quagmire down so I could get my own Amazon Warriors back. So like
Mm-hmm.
his infiltrate bought him some turns, but he never got to like use my Amazon. He just had to run. And I
Yeah.
got him
So
to door
here,
here, yeah.
yeah, Death's Door, and then he's gonna. I figured he deals with your Amazon Warriors, but he also like it's violent on your side, and then he has a violent, and
Mm-hmm. But I also, yeah, I got to Mirror Realm his
oh,
desert to kill
that was
his
his scarabs. Okay.
beetle. Yeah.
So going in his head, do you have the win in hand here? So you're just like waiting for him to take his turn to.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a couple different. It was funny. Zach was like, "Oh man, did you mess up?" Because I think I don't remember if I bottomed or I didn't worry about a earthquake to reposition him, but I had the entangled terrain in hand, so as long as he didn't get rid of all my minions, it was fine.
Mm-hmm. And then even if you did get rid of all your minions, you just scry for a win, right?
Yeah, yeah. Kobold, I think there's like 10 live draws there. It's like Kobolds, Petrosian Cavalry, Biolimps, Firebolts, Earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's 13.
And
Oh
then
no, Earthquake wouldn't quite do it.
but then also playing after Roots, playing up onto site 13 there with your site. When I was playing my Avatar of Earth build, having my site there felt so
Uh-huh.
powerful because it was always like, all
It
right,
is.
just play a cavalry or play a violent or cobalt, just those really aggressive fire minions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my earlier iterations of this had Jihad. But like because I would just need to get close, but yeah, that's kind of
And there's the win.
yeah, that was the win.
Very nice, sir. Very good job. And you're a very good player. And like limited throws a wrench and things, but I'm sure you made some pretty good decisions in that and got a little lucky, but also made good decisions. So very nice.
Oh, I definitely got lucky, but we just played for the listeners or viewers. We just played a couple of limited matches, and I think you beat me almost every single one.
Well,
But
well, the lesson we learned was if you do three color, you
never
can't
go
play
three
two.
color from me.
Yeah, you, you can't
Yeah,
do two threshold. Well,
yeah. Everyone does three color but me because it just doesn't go well for me.
just don't play three color. You'll be fine.
That's the game plan.
That's the game plan. Well, thank you very much for the walking through that. That was very insightful.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.